All right, we're live. Okay, perfect.
We also have seats in the front if people want to sit in the front. What do you say? Thanks.
Okay. Cool. All right, I'm gonna do just a quick disclaimer before starting, which is we want to take a couple of pictures. Does anyone feel uncomfortable about that at all? We want to share them with us. You could take the pictures from the back, so only your back. So, with that, okay. Can you do that? And then a couple of short videos. Right, guys? Did that sound right?
Is that here?
In a spotlight.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. There are many familiar faces here today, but I'm very grateful, most grateful for those of you who are joining us. We can't really start this session without acknowledging what's going on. Specifically, the atrocities in the map that show that more than 500,000 people in southern Lebanon over the past couple of weeks, but also not only genocide in Gaza. The toll right now is more than 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza, which also led to an unprecedented level of, can you hear me okay? It's too, oh, hold on. Oh. The toll of Palestinians who have been killed in this ongoing genocide have reached more than 40,000, and it led to an unprecedented level of violence in the West Bank as well. We have hosted many teach-ins in the past, but today I'm actually particularly moved to be hosting Ezz. Ezz is a colleague and now a dear friend that I have the utmost respect for and admiration. I and more than 500,000 people have been following his journey from when he was known as Gaza's Smile Painter. He is an incredibly talented artist. These are some of his sketches. And I've been following him since then, since he became the EU Goodwill Ambassador in Palestine. And today is September 24th, almost a year since his life was completely turned upside down. We actually started this series about 11 months ago, focusing on healthcare, particularly attacks on healthcare, different areas of medicine, different focuses on areas of medicine and disciplines. And I remember presenting this figure on the left back in October of 2023. Now these figures are no longer, they appear minuscule compared to right now, with more than 500 health workers killed. 2 doctors were killed by torture and ill treatment over the past few months. We've shared some handouts with you today, just to give you a snapshot of what's going on. These are from September 18th, 2024, one in Gaza and one in the West Bank, just to show that the escalation of violence is not only in Gaza, but also particularly alarming in the West Bank. There are over 90,000 people injured. And this is from the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. There are no figures like this for southern Lebanon, and I hope there never will be. But from what we see, not really from. So I think it's our duty to report these. It's our duty to bear witness, duty to keep talking about it, and amplifying the voices of those who no longer have a voice. As we study for exams, as a lot of you are studying for step 1, I wanted to show this picture that really marked me in June. And like Dr. Bilal said, it's important to remember that the students, the medical students in Gaza also have dreams like we do. And they have ambitions like we do. And though this session is in Ezz's name, it's also an ode to all the students who dream of the kind of education that we really often take for granted here. The following are pictures that Ez shared with me, and I'm going to go through them briefly. But there aren't words good enough or meaningful enough to describe how much pain is in these pictures, and he will talk in more detail about them. This is Ez's home. There was a strike that hit his home back in October. That was his desk where he studied for his medical exam. He's a 5th-year student now. These are pictures and videos from reports on Al Jazeera and different other news channels showing how he was actually volunteering in multiple hospitals in Gaza shortly after the strike started. These are some of the videos that have gone viral on his Instagram showing the level of really like disastrous hygiene that led to the ongoing infectious disease spread, led to people being completely, lots of children mutilated, losing limbs due to infections. There are no ways that are appropriate to dispose of cadavers. So these are actually cadavers on the street, sheltered by tents and maybe plastic bags at best. This is a video of another one of Ezz's colleagues showing the sort of setup that he had in order to heal his patients, something that we will probably never experience. These are some of Ezz's family members who were killed while he was under siege at Al-Shifa hospital. Videos from the hospitals, the lack of water, sanitation, food. Let us not talk about lack of antibiotics, lack of medicine, anesthesia. These are pictures of Ezz's family members who were massacred and killed over the past few months. We will. Finally, these are just short snapshots of what Ez was able to achieve with all the grief and all the pain, and how he turned into something quite inspiring. He started a foundation in the name of his late father to help other medical students continue their training by offering them either actual support in their studies or monetary stipends so that they could focus on their studies instead of. And last thing I want to say is that Ez actually doesn't accept speaking events very often. So this is a huge privilege. It really, really is huge. And it's very hard for me to have to really be fresh and really fresh and very traumatic for me. And for the time of respect, I know some of you have to do this after I leave me. I think what we're giving your most undivided attention is figure on the way we have to. Ez, I'm gonna give you the mic, and I wanted to tell you something. أنت رمز الصمود وتضحياتك إحنا ما رح ننساها. وأنت رمز الصمود ودرس في التضحية ودرس في قوة الإيمان. وإليك الكلمة يا عز. شكرا شكرا شكرا.
Thank you so much, Noor. I appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank the brave medical students, Noor, Karan, Rose, Jerry, and Julia for hosting me. And thank you, Harvard students, for coming to hear me speak, to light on the truth, what is happening here. The first step toward the future, inshallah. So thank you for coming to hear my story, as learn about the care structures we are building despite the ongoing siege on Gaza. I used to think that the loss of my house, our property, and my painting is the most difficult loss I can face in this war. Houses are not a pile of stones, but details of life, safety, and beautiful bunch of memories. But the real disaster was bigger than I imagined and expected. The house was not all I lost, but my whole family. Only my mother survived a severe injury, and everyone was gone, killed by the Israel bombing of our house on November 13th, 2023. 20 people and lives. There are not numbers. My father was my backbone, and my brother, his wife, daughter, grandmother, and my uncles. Life slipped me with this disaster and left me alone, facing unknown for how can I complete a study of medicine and I have little left. How can I fulfill my dream and my father's dream? How will I take care of my mother and the rest of my family and rebuild our house? I am Dean Samir Lulu, fifth-year medical student, founder and CEO of Samir Foundation. I am speaking to you from besieged Northern Gaza. I was honored to be selected as the EU Goodwill Ambassador in Palestine. In addition, I have also been pursuing my passion for illustration and character design for years and have worked with the prestigious networks and companies. And I have known in my community as the smile maker, as I was surprising people with their drawings. And right now, finding a reason to smile has been a huge challenge for me. As a student studying to become a doctor, I made a decision based on the way my father had raised me to always give back to my religion and homeland. So I chose to volunteer at Al-Shifa hospital during the war. Recognizing that the level of catastrophe exceeded the capacity of medical staff and hospital alone, leaving my own family behind, despite not having taken the official oath yet, I found myself in a situation that no textbook could prepare me for. The number of injuries and martyrs of our own people burdened our souls, on top of the exhaustion we are still feeling until this day amidst this genocide. At Al-Shifa hospital, there were long hours, little sleep, and constant pressure. The war was abroad, devastation and despair, leaving no room for the thought of hope. Working at the hospital during this genocide, it proved to be the most soul-crushing experience I had ever had to endure. On November 10th, at that time, the hospital was surrounded by Zionist forces, preventing anyone from entering or leaving the hospital. Essential resources, essential services were severely disrupted or completely cut off. For one whole week, there was no electricity, telecommunication, or Wi-Fi. I was at Al-Shifa hospital Israeli military tanks were approaching Al-Shifa hospital. So I started making videos to let the world know what was going on inside. Snipers were targeting the people inside the halls of the hospital. And as doctors, we were not able to move towards them to save them. We were forced to watch people bleed out to death before our eyes. Oxygen concentrators had started to shut down, and 8 patients in the ICU just died. For the first time in my life, I buried people inside the hospital. All this happened in that week. I lived through 4 wars before this one, but nothing like this one. It turned my life 180 degrees. At that time, I realized that the skills doctors learn in our education system only equip them to care for patients only when we can physically access them, literally. Little did I know that life can be so priceless and your skills and hard works can be so worthless when I saw medical care being held for politics. I know how to perform first aid for the injured. I was not prepared for these scenarios. But the heaviest and most painful thing for me was yet to come until November 13th, when the greatest tragedy of my life happened. On this day, you all thought that something bad would happen to me, and the Israeli was going to invade the Al-Shifa. But no, I was in Al-Shifa without knowing anything about the outside world, as we were without communication until 9 o'clock at night. At 9 o'clock at night, Dr. Fadl Naeem from Al-Ma'madani Hospital called me and told me, "We are sorry for the loss of your relatives as a result of a targeted bomb attack in my grandfather's house." I did not know anything about it until that moment. At that moment, the world fell on me. I couldn't believe what they were telling me. They told me my father, my brother, my uncles, my cousins, my grandmother, my nephews, and my pregnant sister-in-law were no longer with us. They had gone to paradise. But my mother was here in the hospital, seriously injured. I think back when I was still besieged at Al-Shifa Hospital, when the Red Crescent staff told me that they heard the cries for help from some of my family members. If they had their equipments that were destroyed by occupation, I probably would have at least a few surviving family members. But alhamdulillah, I lost 20 beloved family members. They had taken from me what I love most alive. They had taken my life. They had taken my life away from me. I became the sole provider for my mother, who is the only survivor of the Israeli bombing of our house. I'm now responsible for my future studies, without support, without backbone. Despite these losses, I remain steady in my determination to care for my surviving family members and pursue my dream of becoming a medical doctor. I strive to graduate and earn my MD, fulfilling a promise to myself and honoring the legacy of my father. Allah left me my mother, and so I am still strong to support her until the last day of my life. My father was the person who most dreamed of seeing me succeed, and I promise him from here that I'll succeed above all else. I will continue my studies for him, for my country, and for all my family. Despite of everything, I'll never give up. Actually, having over 500,000 followers, I have been tirelessly documenting the war crimes in Gaza and sharing them with the world because I believe that my voice will make a change, even if it does not happen as quickly as I had hoped. People need to know that at once that they are doing to us is genocide and ethnic cleansing, and it's ongoing the day my family was martyred, but the day everything came crashing down. The bodies of my grandmother, my father, my brother, his pregnant wife, and his children are still under the rubble of my grandfather's house till now. But the aggression continues. Every day, more families need rescuing, so the work continues. I go to the hospital daily to try to save any life I can, even though I never got the chance to save my own family. I remember the first time that my focus fully shifted away from the loss of my family. It was early one morning. I was just coming back from a night shift when I get a call that my friend Ala was at the hospital and was severely injured. I immediately ran back. Ala's face was disfigured and his leg was amputated, but he saw me holding his hand. In that moment, I was only focused on saving my friend's life. I went into surgery with Ala and stayed by his side throughout the operation. At times, it seems hopeful, but the end, Ala's blood pressure had dropped significantly. The doctor said that my friend might lose his life because the missiles that landed next to him shattered his internal organs. Actually, I did the best. I did the best I could to heal Ala and stayed by his side. I read the Quran to him and I prayed for him and cried. He asked me to take care of his wife and kids, but 1 hour later, he was martyred before my eyes. This was Ala, my friend, who was with me after my family was martyred. The occupation took him, but the occupation took him from me too. I was helpless in front of him at that moment. He was my brother who had been with me for so long. But the aggression continues. 1 month later, my mother's uncles and their families were martyred. This time they were executed in cold blood. The occupation soldiers entered their house, went into the living room, and shot the men in the front of their wives and children. Some were shot directly in the head, and some, like my cousin, got shot in the leg. As he lay bleeding, my aunt called to her and told him to press on his wound. But then the Zionist soldier shot my cousin in the head. He was executed right in the front of his mother. Have you imagined this situation? Then the soldiers took the women, threw them in the ground, and began shooting at them. Most of them were injured. Some had their legs amputated. Yes, this is some of stories that I have witnessed in this aggression. Finally, the Samir Foundation. The Samir Foundation named in my late father. My highest cause of establishing this foundation carries with it a lot of pain and hope. After I lost my dear father during the war in Gaza, I lost his dream of seeing me as a successful doctor, so I decided to honor his good memory through this foundation, which aims to revitalize the healthcare system in Gaza by supporting and training medical students and doctors, as well as rebuilding healthcare infrastructure in Palestine. I tend to this to be a constant foundation for his soul and a source of education and goodness that lasts a lifetime, inshallah. I want to help medical students overcome the challenges that they face over the war and be a part of their journey to achieve their dreams of becoming successful doctors. Our goal is to establish an integrated health sector that provides all patient needs and provides high quality health services worthy of the Palestinian citizen in Gaza. Our slogan, Samir Foundation slogan, is from under the rubble to a brighter Palestinian healthcare system. Our main focus is on achieving comprehensive improvement, including firstly, immediate financial aid for medical students and their families, especially since many of them had their livelihoods destroyed by the occupation. Provide tools and resources to enable medical students from the start of their studies all the way to graduation, and establish training course to be evaluated by the most skilled doctors and specialists in the field to enhance their practical aspect, and renovate and reconstruct the faculty of medicine, building upon the situation of war, inshallah. So far, the foundation has delivered the first face-to-face training course, basic trauma life support course in northern Gaza during the war to medical students. Also, we have provided pocket money for 361 medical students and 17 teaching assistants for months, inshallah, in collaboration with Human Concern International, HCI. We have also distributed Eid gifts, and we are operating both in northern and southern Gaza. Our next goal or target is to establish a medical hub in the south. This will benefit all the clinical and preclinical students by providing them with the proper study spaces that have proper furniture and Wi-Fi, which be conductive for online classes, exams, study groups, and virtual meetings. This project is crucial for these students and doctors since they have lost their homes, are displaced, living in tense and terrible conditions, and lack the basic human service everyone had the right to. Their learning needs to continue in order for them to move forward. Having that halted by the war has cost them even more. Healthcare workers need to keep learning, keep educating themselves in order to support other lives, especially when it comes to medical students and professionals. Everyone depends on them, otherwise all is lost. This foundation means everything to me, and I want to thank you for listening. We're on our way to becoming registered as a 501c nonprofit in USA. So donations will be tax exempt. Meanwhile, I hope you all help me on this journey to empower Gaza's future healthcare workers. We have made it easy to do. Just scan the QR code on your brochure, and inshallah that will take you directly to our GoFundMe page. Finally, Gaza is my home, my house, the place where I have grown up and lived. We just want to live like the rest of the world. It's not that hard to understand, but everything bad comes back, and I am sure that our resilience and losses will help Palestine to return to the way it always was, ours and only ours, inshallah. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support.
Guys, can you keep your camera on? Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us. Thank you for taking on the burden of reliving all of it all over again. And I wish there were more words to alleviate some of the pain you're going through, but we will do our best to help you continue your training, maybe have you come here and help you rebuild capacity in Gaza and all of Palestine. You are a hero to all of us. You are a role model, and there are no words to explain how grateful we all are that you took this time to speak to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we give them a hand?
Thank you so much, Noor. Thank you.
The brochures, so there are some around. I think there is enough for everybody, and they do have the QR code you was talking about. As I do have the slide for the new initiative, the Medical Hub initiative, if you'd like me to tell it quickly before we hop onto a short Q&A. What do you think? There, so I just spoke about what Samir Foundation has been able to do. This is a new initiative that they're starting, and they could definitely use all of our help with it. The initiative is meant to help students who no longer have access to study spaces, who are living in tents, don't have access to internet. A lot of the exams they have to take are actually online, so there's still a way to take exams and continue your training, but these resources are actually very scarce. And so they came up with this really cool initiative where they are going to be selling hot and cold drinks in order to sustain tents that are using solar power in order to generate Wi-Fi. They're going to create credentials that are only available to medical students so they can get access to the special medical hub. This is a wonderful initiative, and hopefully we will see it be executed during the near future. There's more info there, more info in the QR code. Please share it with people who you know are interested in helping with this, either by donating, sharing the GoFundMe. Definitely, we need as many hands on deck as possible. Next, we are going to kind of shift into a Q&A, and if anyone has questions, please feel free to ask. Yeah. Can you tell us more about the initiative that you started in Northern Gaza for the medical students?
The Samir's Medical Hub, right?
No, the one where you gave training for life support.
Basic trauma life support course, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was the first phase. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
It was the first face-to-face training course, basic trauma life support course, and the first face-to-face training course in northern Gaza during and amidst this war to medical students, clinical and preclinical.
We might have lost you for a bit. Can you still hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yes, and the basic trauma life support organized by Samir Foundation, and it was in collaboration with Al-Ahli Arabi Hospital. And alhamdulillah, despite the challenges we have been facing, we are committed to support healthcare to regain its strength, inshallah.
Thank you so much for coming to speak with us. I was wondering, could you talk a little bit more about what happened when the Israelis besieged Al-Shifa hospital?
A student here is asking, my name is Fatima. The student is asking if you could tell us more about when the Israelis took over and besieged Al-Shifa hospital.
Really, when I was besieged at Al-Shifa hospital, there was, for 1 whole week, there was no electricity, telecommunication, and the Israeli military tanks were approaching Al-Shifa hospital, and snipers. I was watching the snipers while we were sniper the people in the hallways at the hospital, and as doctors, we were forced to watch people bleed out to death before our eyes, and we cannot move toward them to save them. And meanwhile, the electricity cut off, and 8 patients in the ICU just died before my eyes. And for the first time in my life, I buried people inside the hospital.
Thank you, Ezz, for sharing that. And I'm sorry for all the atrocities we have gone through. Another question I had was, what can we do as medical students here with this infinite amount of privilege that we have to assist you all in achieving what you want to achieve? What can we really do right now?
Noor, can you repeat, please?
I was asking, what can we do as medical students here to assist you in whatever you want to achieve? How can we be of support?
Actually, according to you, all the brave students protesting against the genocide. Literally, I stand with you in solidarity. Your voices are powerful, and your fight for justice is crucial. Literally, don't give up. The world needs your courage and dedication to raise awareness and demand change. I see your strengths. I see your strengths. Keep fighting for what's right. You are making a difference.
Thanks, guys, and I hope you know that we will never ever stop
Inshallah.
until you tell us to. But we won't stop. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question. Since you were kind of like freshly out of your training, how did you navigate medical situations that were newer to you?
I'm gonna bring the student closer so you get to see her and hear her. She's one of my favorites. Come here.
Hi, salam. Thank you so much.
يعطيك
العافية. الله يجزيك ألف خير.
يا رب إن شاء الله. شكرا.
I was wondering how you navigated medical situations that you weren't familiar with since you were freshly out of your training, but the urgency of the situation kind of called for you to still, do your best and do what you could.
Could you repeat it, please? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. How did you navigate new medical situations you weren't trained on a lot since you were kind of fresh out of your training?
We're here in northern Gaza, يعني?
Yeah, you were only a fifth-year medical student, and you were
Yeah.
thrust into a hospital taking
Mm.
care of wounds that even experienced, doctors have never seen before, seeing infections that our own attendings can't even identify. So how did you manage that with so little training?
Actually, conditions in Gaza or in Gaza right now at their worst, literally, يعني, with children living under horrible conditions. Gazans have been displaced, forced to live in tents next to garbage and sewage that are building up on the streets, creating a breeding ground for disease. So daily we have witness and we are seeing every day a lot of infection disease. So and we are يعني, a low capability of antibiotic. So literally the situation here in northern Gaza especially is getting worse and worse.
Come here. Come here. This is Ralph.
Ahlan, Ezz. We've been chatting over WhatsApp recently.
Yes.
شرفنا بيك يا حبيبنا.
Islam.
So I have it's a weird question. It's not an easy question, and so I think I've been wondering, and probably a lot of people have been wondering how like do you manage to keep going? You've lost, so much. The occupation has taken so much from you, your family, your life, your studies. How do you keep hope? What keeps you from giving up? How can we help you keep that hope?
I get it. Actually, the answer just one word, يعني. I just Allah with me, just it, يعني. So yeah, can you hear me? The plans? There are strike next to us.
Right. Say that one more time.
Strike.
Oh, there's a strike going on right now around you. Are you safe? Oh no, you're not safe.
Every time I call him, I hear the buzzing, even when he's inside or even when he's away from the hospital. Are you okay though, Az?
Yes,
Is there
yes.
somewhere you need to go? Do you need to check in on someone?
We're gonna let him go in a maybe a couple more questions and then we get. Did you want to?
Or maybe we should just ask if he wants to go. That say thank you so much.
Az, do you want to maybe continue for two more questions and then leave, or do you have to go?
No. Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Do people have any more questions? The whole team wants to talk. This is Karina.
Hi, Ezz. Nice to meet you. We've also done over WhatsApp. I wanted to ask about the foundation and your efforts with becoming established as a nonprofit. I wanted to ask if there's any obstacles you've been facing with like the logistics or funding streams with the Samir Foundation and with the nonprofit, and if there's anything we can do to support you in that. I know donations are really important, but if there's anything else that we can do to support the foundation.
Yeah, till now actually يعني we don't have many of obstacles, but يعني we still you get the license in California, so we can wide our work in northern Gaza and to get the donors. So yeah, just يعني as you know the license in the USA is not easy. So yes يعني I have submit the I have submit the document to license since 4 months يعني, and we still to get the license, but currently we make or we are making our project via GoFundMe. So inshallah يعني after we have license inshallah يعني we can make fundraiser in the US, in the California especially, and we can make powerful inshallah.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. How can we add to شكرا يا عز. We'll stay in touch. What we're gonna try to do actually, let's try to bring him here for rotation. Inshallah, sometime maybe next year. He has 1 more year of training, and hopefully we'll get to meet him in person soon. Hopefully, he will be able to practice safely at home like any doctor should.
Noor,
أحكي.
I want to add something.
Of course, anything, guys, anything.
Thank you. Actually يعني when we talk about the rising number of injuries caused by the Israel military to our people, when you hear news reports about the statistics from Gaza, remember that behind those numbers are real lives, real suffering, and stories that need to be heard. When you hear the word injuries, could you hear me right?
Yes.
Yeah. When you hear the word injuries, know that these injuries are not just bruises or scraps, but instant life-changing and damaging injuries like multiple limb amputations. Most of the patients we're seeing here are subjected to brutal amputation with no painkillers or anesthesia because of normally these amputations would be preventable, but because of the blockade in Gaza, there is no other choice. We need from you is fight for an increased humanitarian aid relief, a complete ceasefire, and arms embargo. What we need is a free and liberated Palestine from the river to inshallah.
شكرا يا عز.
You're welcome, Noor. Thank you. Thank you so much, Noor. I appreciate it, Wallah.
I'm gonna let you go, but we're gonna stay in touch. Inshallah, this time next year, we would have met in person.
Face to face, inshallah.
Peace.